In this video, I'm going to be going over the Google Sheets example of what a product data model may look like. And this assumes you watch part 2, which talks in general about what a product data model needs, because otherwise this may be a little confusing. So first off, in your product data model, you may want to specify things that a lot of your trade partners may want to know, such as the lead time, minimum purchase amount, your drop ship capabilities, whether you have an inventory feed, how often that's updated, that sort of thing. So that's very important to specify and to share with your partners. So I'm going to be going over each section. So Excel has the capabilities, or rather Google Sheets has the capabilities of not really setting different views that hide columns, unlike Airtable, which we'll go over later, but it does have the ability to group and ungroup columns. So a little workaround for handling this is you don't want all the columns to appear at once because there's just too much data and you really want to focus on what you're editing at any one time. So you could always collapse the grouping. So you have to know kind of how to set this up, but that's something your trading partner could walk you through and set up this model. But assuming you have the model, then you will want to expand the groups as you edit whatever grouping of attributes you need to edit. So in this case, it's basic info. You can see all the basic info attributes. You could edit those. Then let's say you want to move on to something else. Then you could do the inventory, the pricing, which we've gone over. This is all the pricing levels, and then the various attribute groups, or like classification groups you could call it, with the attributes that matter to that category. Something we didn't go over in part 2 was inventory. So inventory is very important to maintain and share with your partners as well. So you can include the inventory as part of the product data model and just make this accessible, and that would become your feed for giving inventory data to your trading partners. So in Excel, the media section, it'll just be a list of SKU, what the image or what the media type is, and then all the other details that you need. It's pretty straightforward. Categories is, like we mentioned, it has a tree structure. So you really focus on the category name, where it belongs in the tree, and then whether it's a leaf or not. And then this is a formula so that when you're trying to determine what categories the product belongs to, it does a lookup of that field. So you can see in this drop down that it does the whole path as opposed to just the category name, which could be out of context. So while we're here, this is basically a way to associate the product to the relevant category or categories. Similarly, you need the table for classifications, which works similar to categories. It's pretty much the same. Then you need the attributes. So when I described in the part 2, what type it is, what type of attribute it is, you can see how this is specified here, any limitations, the unit types, the this is how you associate it to what classification it belongs to. That's pretty straightforward. And then any notes that you need over here. Classifications category. So this is where you assign the classification, what category it belongs to, and just another note that if it belongs to the master category, then that means it belongs to every category that's under that master category. So if you want attributes to apply to every product, you would put it in the master category, for example. Usually there would not be a direct link between the products and classifications. Those are more like exceptions if for some reason there's a product that's kind of on its own and it belongs in a category with other products, but a certain attribute only applies to that specific product. that's a case where you may want to use this association. Then we have the price levels. This is an example of the various price levels that a company may decide to use and to maintain. To share this file, you would click on Google Sheets Share feature, and then from there you could decide on whether the person has write access or view or whatever it may be. So there is the potential to possibly do an API with Google Sheets, but it's not easy, it's not clean, and it does involve a third-party app, but it is possible. If not, you could share it either through the share button, or you could just download it and then send it to your trading partners, but that's not ideal.